Hello, word nerds, and welcome to this episode of the dictionary. Just welcome to the whole show. I welcome everybody here. Nobody is not allowed in this show. It's a podcast show. It's a YouTube show. I am still standing. Actually, this episode I'm recording very much out of order because I've been holding on to it because I would like to have a guest on, and there should be a guest later, but they're not going to be on the whole episode. They're only going to be in a portion of the episode, and they're probably not going to be on video, and that's okay, and we'll talk more about that when we get there. So, I forgot to say, my name is Spencer. Hello, how are you doing, everybody? What's going on with you? This is episode F32. I am standing because I have a lower back hip problem because my body is like 80 years old or something. I don't know what's going on. I think I need to get an MRI. But no, let's not talk about that anymore. Let's talk about the first word in this episode, which is the second form of the word farrow, spelled Farrow. This one is a noun from 1577, and it's been many, many weeks since I recorded the previous episode. So we have to remind ourselves what the first form of farrow was. It was a verb, and it's to give birth to or to bring forth young, and you would be giving birth to a farrow, which is this one, the noun. Number one, a litter of pigs. A whole bunch of baby pigs is a litter of pigs. It's a farrow. A few of us recently went to a children's farm because we're adults and you get to pet the animals. And they have pigs and they have baby pigs. So those baby pigs, maybe a few months earlier, they were a farrow. A whole bunch of them together. I actually recorded a backwards talking video where I said baby pig, and I will put that in the link. I put the link in the show notes. So, number two for farrow is an act of farrowing, which would be, I guess, giving birth to the young, bringing forth young. Farrow down, I guess that's what they say when they're bringing forth the young. There is no etymology here. Let's look at the previous one. Yes, Old English fjar is a young pig. Old High German fara is a young pig, from the Latin porcus, which means pig. So yes, it's all about baby pigs. Oh my God, the cute little baby pigs with the curly cute tails, and they go ree, 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 ree. They don't say oink. I've never heard a pig say oink. All right. A farrow is a bunch of them. Now, the sound effect today is going to be related to my guest who's coming on. Not related to the guest exactly. Related to the word that we will be talking about, which is... It's a little hint, a little clue as to what's coming up later. So, the next word is the third form of farrow, which is an adjective from the 15th century, and this one is talking about a cow, not a pig, a cow, and it means not pregnant. Now, I am very confused by this. This is from the Scottish word farrow. It seems related somehow to these other farrow words that we had with the pig and birthing a pig, but this is not pregnant. And it's talking about a cow, not a pig. I'm so confused. Let's skip ahead. Was there let's see if there's something FER related that's maybe Scottish, that is maybe about a pig, or not a pig, but a cow. You know what? We might just have to wait. We might just have to wait until we get there. Let's see. There's ferocious. Is that like, there's only a couple of FERO words. Well, I guess we'll learn more later or not. The next word is far-seeing. One word. It's two words together to make one word, far-seeing. Adjective from 1598. And the synonym is the number one definition for the word farsighted, which is coming up in this episode. Next, we have farcy, capital F-A-R-S-I. It is a noun from 1878, and the synonym is the 2B definition for the word Persian, which Persia I don't think exists anymore. That whole part of the world has sort of changed a lot. It evolves, it changes. We got different names for countries and areas. So Farsi is, I think, the newer word for Persian. It's from 1878. So the etymology says that this is from the Persian word Farsi, which is also from Fars, which means Persia. Just that area, that country, that land was Persia, and I guess their word for that area is Fars or Farsi, and so it's probably a more accurate word anyway, even though we don't call it Persia anymore. Farsi. I've heard of the language Farsi. So let's look. Wow, I skipped right to the P's. What is the 2B definition for Persian? Is this the language? Let's see. P-E-R-S. I'm looking for I. Here we go. Persian 2B. Yes. This is the modern language of Iran and Western Afghanistan. So, yes, Farsi is the language of that area, and we used to call it Persian. Now we call it Farsi. Okay, great. Next, we have far side. One word, noun from the 15th century. I have to shout out the comic strip, even though it's one square, the comic The Far Side by Gary Larson. And actually, he was off the grid for a while, but I believe he is every once in a while making new comics. Thefarside.com. Please go check it out. You can see old comics. But there's a tab at the top that says new stuff. And I haven't looked at this in a while. They sometimes new comics show up and then they go away, so you got to check it periodically. Right now, when I click on new stuff, there is a very colorful comic. This is actually kind of appropriate for this episode. It's Christmas time with the dung beetles. There's some shopping windows. There's some windows with packages and lights and Christmas trees, and there's a couple of dung beetles looking at the window, and there is one dung beetle who is rolling a wrapped gift down the street, and of course the wrapped gift is a big ball of dung. The shop name, there's a couple of shop names here. One of them is Le Pouperie. And the quote says, "For the discerning dung beetle, Le Pouperie." And then the next shop window is Stinky and Sons. Since 1972. Oh, that's so good. There's no caption. No caption. It's just the dung beetle shopping at Christmas time. Let's look at another one. This is vultures in a car driving at night, and they are hunting down an armadillo who is walking across the street, and the caption is "cutting out the middleman." So usually the car drives over the armadillo or whatever in like the desert, the southwest of America, and then the vultures come and they eat the dead animals. But this time the vultures are just going to kill the armadillo straight away. All right, well, that's enough. I'm going to take a look at more new comics from The Far Side. We haven't even talked about what the definition of the far side is. This is the farther side, but especially the side of the moon away from the earth. That is the far side. I think it doesn't have to pertain to the moon specifically. It could pertain to any planet. The side that's facing away from the earth is the far side. There is a phrase, on the far side of, and the synonym is the word beyond, as in the example, just on the far side of 40. Well, that's where I am. I am just on the far side of 40. I am 44. I guess, so I'm beyond 40. I guess anybody who's older than 40 could be on the far side of 40. You're away from 40. Are you trying to say that I have reached the middle age, the middle of my lifetime, and now I am closer to death than I was to birth? Closer to death than I am to birth? I would like to think that I am still closer to birth than death. I would like to live longer than 80 years, but my body sure feels like it's at 80 years. I guess there's no way to know. You won't know until you're there. Until you're dead, you won't know what the halfway point of your life was. But sometimes it does feel like I am on the far side of everything. Ugh. Okay, what's next? What's next? We have far-sighted. This is an adjective from 1609, number 1A, seen or able to see. Did I read that right? I think maybe am I far-sighted? Seen or able to see to a great distance. So this is where I always got confused by this. Far-sighted, nearsighted. Which is which? What does it mean? If you're far-sighted, does that mean that you can see far or you cannot see far? And what this is saying is that you are able to see far away, but things up close are not so good. That would be nearsighted. So, if we just backtrack in this episode a little bit, we had far-seeing. That's just another way to say far-sighted. Probably that was the older way. That was 1598. Far-sighted is 1609. A whopping 11 years later, they said, we got a better term for this. We're going to say far-sighted instead of far-seeing. Maybe it's easier to say. 1B for far-sighted is having or showing foresight or good judgment, as in sagacious, S-A-G-A-C-I-O-U-S. I don't know that word at all. Can't wait to get to the S's. That's going to be so long from now. So this is not about literally your sight. By the way, I am nearsighted, so it's easier to see things that are close up for me. Far things are a bit blurrier. I don't have a very strong prescription, so I can still see things way in the distance better than a lot of people who wear glasses, but I can tell it's getting worse. It's getting a little bit worse. The far stuff is getting a little bit worse, but also the really close stuff is getting worse. So I'm getting to that point where I might need some reading glasses or some bifocals because I'm on the far side of 40. Everything is starting to fail. It's just the most wonderful experience that I have ever experienced. So this 1B is about thinking ahead, having foresight, being able to plan ahead. Maybe chess players have they're far-sighted because they can look at all the moves ahead. Having good judgment. Well, I think if I think about if I do this thing, then if I am being farsighted, I'm going to think about how that's going to affect all the other things. I can judge well on how this will affect things. Sometimes people just make decisions very impulsively, and they don't act farsightedly because they don't think about the consequences. But I think it's a very good idea to think about the consequences. Be farsighted when you make your choices. So, number 2 is affected with hyperopia. Hyperopia. What's hyperopia? We got to look at that real quick. This seems like I would assume that it has to do with your eyesight, because that op in there makes me think of that, makes me think of eyes. Hyperopia. Is that like the technical term for being farsighted? Let's see, where's hyperopia? We got a lot of hyper words. Oh, that's going to be a fantastic section to talk through. Hyperopia. I'm just trying to just skim it real quick. Yes, I think it basically has to do with, yes, being able to see far and not being able to see near. All those things far away are there, and near things are over here. Okay, this was great. Thank you so much. That was farsighted. Farsightedly is an adverb. I already said that word. And now we're going to go. We now have farsightedness. Noun from circa 1829. Number 1, the quality or state of being farsighted. So if you are farsighted, you have farsightedness. And number 2, the synonym. Here it is, hyperopia. Or is it hyperopia? Probably not. Hyperopia is farsightedness. I don't have this. I probably have, what would it be, hypoopia? The opposite of farsightedness? Is that hypoopia? I don't know. We'll find out later. Next is our fun word, which is fart, the first form. And here is now where I will bring in my guest in some form, probably just audio. And it's my wife, Sharon. And if for some reason this doesn't happen, I guess I'm just going to have to record this myself another day. But hello, Sharon. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Spencer?
I'm very well. Nice to meet you.
Nice to finally meet you.
In person.
I've been wondering who's been sleeping next to me for the last 12 years.
Doing all the dishes. Thank you for coming on this show briefly to talk about the word fart.
Why did you want me to come on the show and talk about the word fart with you?
Because you said you wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
It's your fault. Oh, by the way, I have to say, this is, of course, audio only. If you're watching this on YouTube, maybe I'll put up a picture of us. Is there a good picture of us that I can put up? You'll find one.
We'll find, yep.
Let's just do the first one. The first form of the word fart is an intransitive verb from the 13th century. It's often vulgar. I don't know. I think that's in the eye of the beholder. And this means to expel. Oh my God, I was hoping this would be a good definition. It's so good. To expel intestinal gas from the anus. It's so good. It's to expel intestinal gas from the anus. And I love these just so perfect scientific definitions. What does that definition say to you? To expel intestinal gas from the anus.
Well, it's a lot less funny than the word fart.
That's true.
Which is why I wonder what is the etymology of fart?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Let's see. This is from the Middle English ferten or farten, akin to the Old High German ferzan, which means to break wind, from the Old Norse freta, from the Greek perdisthai, from the Sanskrit pardate, which means he breaks wind. So I assume the German and the Old Norse words also mean break wind. So it's breaking wind.
But I'm wondering if back then it was used as like, people were sailing everywhere, discovering new lands. So was that more of a term like when they're in the boats and they have the sails up and all of a sudden like the wind hits them and they start taking off, breaking wind. Like,
right.
We're farting! Fart straight ahead! Fart onward to land!
Land ho, fart faster! I hope when Washington crossed the Delaware, he could say, fart faster, fart, I see the I don't know. Yeah, that makes sense. They're breaking wind, they're cutting wind, they're doing something, they're using the wind. Fart the sails, maybe. I sure hope that's a term. I don't know.
If there's any sailors out there, please let us know if that's a term.
Yeah. I was always confused about that term breaking wind. Like, what does that mean? You're making wind, I think, when you fart. You're pushing air out. But what does the breaking wind mean? That part was always confusing to me.
Breaking. When you say breaking wind, I just picture like the wind breaking open your Your anus.
The wind
Your
is
little sphincter opening up so the wind can break
come
through.
out. The wind is doing the breaking of your butthole.
Yes.
That's what it is. Oh man, we're so terrible. Well, let's read the second form real quick. And
Okay.
can you please make a wonderful fart sound? Oh, that was a juicy one. The second form of fart is a noun from the 14th century. Number one is often vulgar. Again, that's a judgment. This is an expulsion of intestinal gas. So the first one was the action of expelling the gas from the anus, and this is the actual thing, the actual expulsion of that gas coming out of the anus. And then number two is also often vulgar, a foolish or contemptible person. As in, couldn't stand the old fart. I hope people call me an old fart when I'm old because I'm foolish or contemptible.
I'll start calling you an old fart. Don't worry.
Thank you. I feel like I'm already there, so now is fine. Well, why are you here to talk about farts? Why are they fun to talk about?
Because everybody farts. And if you don't think it's funny, I don't want to be friends with you.
Yeah. We as a society have definitely we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to do it in public. It's like anything that has to do with bodily functions and stuff is just off the table. You can't talk about it. But I think that people need to lighten up by farting and talking about it. And it's embarrassing to fart in front of somebody maybe that you don't know. But do you remember like the first time when we farted in front of each other?
I don't know.
It was probably like day one.
I don't remember, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, when you're with someone that you just started dating and you want to appear attractive and sexy and confident, so you never really know how that other person is going to react to farts. I mean, you were a pretty silly person and we were friends for a long time before we dated. So I was pretty confident that it would not be a deal breaker if I farted in front of you.
But if it's like a first date, you've never met each other or like barely.
Yeah. But you didn't care if I farted in front of you.
No. And it's not something that you want to even talk about.
What?
It's not something that you even want to talk about. Like, hey, do you mind if I fart in front of you? Like, how do you even broach that subject?
I think it just happens accidentally the first time you fart in front of someone. And then if they laugh or if they fart too, then you know that you're meant to be together.
Yeah. Or if they like make a face, like you instantly know, however they reacted, if they're. Yeah. Well, and it could if they match up with you, right? If you're the type of person that wants to fart in front of people and they laugh or fart too, then yeah, you're good. But if you don't like farts, then if they wince, then yeah, like okay, you're good together.
Yeah. I mean, you're really the only person I fart in front of where I just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't try to do it because obviously they can also be a little odorously
malevolent.
Yeah. That's a good term. Odorously malevolent. So I don't really want to like offend someone or disgust someone. But if I really, really have to, like if I feel like my insides are going to explode, and I'm in a public setting, I will probably go excuse myself somewhere a little more private to do it. But then, there's other situations where I'm with you and your family also loves farts and thinks they're funny and they fart in front of each other. So I'm fine doing it there and not going to another room. But yeah, it just read the situation.
Yeah. We're a very farty family. That's the thing. You don't know if it's going to be a stinky one or not. So it's like in this public situation, I could maybe fart on the sly, but if it's a stinky one, then that's going to make everybody offended. And so, yeah, you try and like walk away where there's a little bit more airflow or something. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you mentioned like if your insides are going to explode, it can hurt. You can literally get cramps or something from that. And so yeah, it's like you got to let it out. If you don't fart, then
You're not gonna explode.
no, it just feels like it, and but it can be not healthy for you if you don't let out those gas bubbles. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a natural thing. Animals do it, humans do it, and so you gotta let them out. So I say fart all the live long day, please and thank you.
Make farts, not war.
That's right. That's what they say. That should be a button. I mean, obviously, I could talk about farts all day, but do you have any other last words about farting?
No, just that, you know, everyone does it, and try to have a sense of humor about it. And during these really rough times right now, I don't know when this episode's coming out.
This is coming out on the November 12th, I think.
Oh, okay, so
or 11th or 12th.
very soon. So yeah, hopefully things won't get too much worse in the next few days, I hope. But I guess when you're sitting there and you're angry, thinking about today's political climate and possibilities of war and all these dictators and stuff who might change the fabric of our world forever, I guess just remember that they fart too. And maybe that'll put a little smile on your face for a split second.
I do and I don't want to hear or see those people fart.
I don't ever want to see or hear them. But, you know, these powerful men who think that they are greater than everyone else, guess what? You fart. And they probably stink, and they might even get a little bit of brown stuff in their underwear from time to time.
I just saw a video of a 4 or 5 year old kid who said, "I sharted," and the parents were like, "Do you know what that is?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's It sounded like he made up the word, and he was like, "Yeah, it's when you think you got a rooty toot toot. It's it's a rooty toot toot, so you let it out, but then it comes out and it goes splat." This was like the little kid's description of a shart.
Oh, I like Rudy Toot Toot.
Yeah.
That might even be funnier than fart. I'm going to have to start using that. Thank you, little kid.
Got a rooty toot. Can you make a really good rooty toot sound, please? Well, of course, I have to thank my wife, Sharon, for talking about farts with me. Something that we think is very fun and funny. And now we are going... I hope that I have had her do the sound effect. And now we are moving on to the first form of the word farther. Farther. I want it to be pronounced fart her. That's a weird action. Go fart her. Is that are you making her fart when you fart her, or are you farting on her? We'll never know. Okay, farther is an adverb from the 14th century. We have some usage information coming up, which is going to be great. Number 1, at or to a greater distance or more advanced point. So at or to a greater distance, or at or to a more advanced point, as in, got no farther than the first page. You read the first page of the book, maybe the dictionary, and you said, "Nope, sorry, can't do it. I'm done. I can't go no farther than the first page." I have definitely gotten farther than the first page in this book, because I'm on page 454, and I've already recorded most of the episodes through page 460. Yeah. Okay. We have another example, though. For number 1, we have nothing could be farther from the truth. Basically, that's a lie. It's so far away from the truth. It is a falsity. It is a lie. It's so far away from reality. Number 2, to a greater degree or extent, as in, this is a quote, "See to it that I do not have to act any farther in the matter." See to it that I do not have to act any farther in the matter. That is a quote from Bernard Devoto, or Bernard Devoto. I don't know how Bernard pronounces their name. So to a greater degree or extent. Farther. That's it. Okay, now, do we have etymology for this one? It is an alternation from the word further with a U, and that is exactly what our usage information is going to talk about. Farther and further have been used more or less interchangeably throughout most of their history, but currently they are showing signs of diverging. Ooh, we're going through an evolution. As adverbs, they continue to be used interchangeably whenever spatial, temporal, or metaphorical distance is involved. Oh, this hurts my brain. But where there is no notion of distance, further is used, as in, our techniques can be further refined. So there's no talking about distance between things, one thing's here and one thing's there. In this context, we're saying that our techniques can be further refined. We can refine them even more, right? Okay, further is also used as a sentence modifier, as in the example, further, the workshop participants were scarcely optimistic. And that is a quote from L.B. Mayhew. But farther is not. Now that's the end of the sentence, so let's combine that. Further is also used as a sentence modifier, but farther is not. You cannot use farther as a sentence modifier unless you really, really, really want to. A polarizing process appears to be taking place in their adjective use. Farther is taking over the meaning of distance, as in the farther shore. And further, the meaning of addition. Is that a sentence? Farther is taking over the meaning of distance, and further is taking over the meaning of addition. I sort of added in those words to make it all make sense. As in the example for further, needed no further invitation. You invite me once to a party with puppets, and I don't need another invitation. I'm set. I'm good. I'm going to be there. Okay, well, that was all the further information. I hope that made sense to you. So farther seems to be more about distance, and further is other stuff. Addition, more stuff. Okay, great. I think that was helpful. And now we are going to go. The second form of farther is an adjective from the 14th century. Number 1, more distant. More distant. The synonym is remoter, like more remote, remoter, as in the farther side of town. I'm here on this side of town, and you live over there, all the way over there on the farther side of town. That's too far for me to go visit. I can't. Sorry, I'm not coming over. Number 2, the synonym is the second definition for the word further, as in clearing his throat preparatory to farther revelations. Why was that a weird sentence? That is a quote from Edith Wharton. I will read it again, though. So Edith Wharton said, clearing his throat preparatory, I think that's that word, how do you even say this word? Preparatory? Preparatory. You're preparing to do a thing, preparatory, okay. Clearing his throat preparatory to farther revelations. He's been giving all these revelations, but he's got more, so he has to go, I have more revelations. Excuse me for a minute. I am making space for the revelations. I have more revelations to say. Okay, great. That was wonderful and fun. Next is farthermost. Farthermost. Adjective from the 15th century, most distant, and the synonym is farthest. You can't go any farther. The far side of the moon. You can't go any farther than that. So that is the farthermost part of the moon. Next is farthest. Don't you love it with your farts when they sound very musical? It's like I really hope that Sharon and I had a good discussion about farts. Who knows how long it will go on for? And I don't think there will be any video, but oh, they're just so funny. Okay, so farthest. This is the next word. The first form, adjective from the 14th century. This is most distant, especially in space or time, as in the farthest frontier. It's you can't go, that frontier is farther away than anything else. Also is in the seat farthest from the door. That's a good seat to be in, because when you're in a seat close to the door, sometimes when people open the door, it's very cold outside, and I don't like that seat. I want to be farther away. I want to be the farthest away possible. I got whatever. I got nothing else to say really about these words. Next is the second form of farthest, adverb from the 15th century. Number 1, to or at the greatest distance in space or time, as in, who can jump the farthest? Who can jump so far in time? Obviously, they're talking about space, but I think it would be funny if you were talking about time. You can't jump in time. Time keeps on ticking, just periodically, and we have not figured out a way to jump in time. But who can jump the farthest? One of those athletes with this very strong legs, I think. Number 2, to the most advanced point, as in goes farthest toward answering the questions. This person does a better job answering the questions than the other people, so they go to the most advanced point. Number 3, by the greatest degree or extent. The synonym is most, as in the painting farthest removed from reality. Whoa. The painting that is most removed from reality. That painting that they made is the most unrealistic thing that we have ever seen, ever. So it is the farthest removed from reality. I want to see that painting. Farthing. That's next. Farthing. Farthing. Noun from before the 12th century. Number 1A. A former British monetary unit equal to, yes, I had to confirm, it's so tiny, 1/4 of a penny. So they used to use this in the Britain land. They don't anymore, and they have or had pennies, but they also had farthings, which are 1/4 of a penny. It's such a little amount, and I think that they used it back in the day because things were so much cheaper then. You could just get a thing for 1 farthing, and it was like nothing. It was so cheap. I don't know how that amount of money compares to U.S. dollars and cents at that time. If I feel like doing the research, maybe I'll look to see like what equivalent was a farthing in U.S. money, and when were they using these? They are on the pound, but did the farthing go away because it was so small, or because now they just use a different form of money altogether? I'm not sure. We need some more information, I think. So what else about farthing? Number 1B is a coin representing this unit. I feel like, aren't those just the same thing? Like, I guess you can pay a farthing and not use a coin, but weren't they just using the coin for a farthing? A farthing is the coin. That's the thing. But I guess it's worth 1 farthing. I don't know. Money's weird. Okay, number 2 is something of small value, and the synonym is mite, M-I-T-E. So just something very cheap, of tiny little value. You could say, oh, it's just a farthing. It's a farthing. It's a farthing. Okay, what's the etymology for farthing? Let's see, from Middle English, farthing, from Old English, fjorthung, which is akin to the Middle High German Vierdunk, which means 4th part, And from Old English, fjortha, which means fourth. So that's what it is. Fourth, farth, farthing, fourth, farth. It's 1/4 of a penny. That's literally where the name comes from. Okay, that's great. Now, I want to look up a picture of a farthing. Farthing coin, I guess? Let's look up that to see what they looked like. They use different things. It says farthing. This one from 1951, so they were using them in the 1950s, I guess. This one has a little bird on it. Put a bird on it. This one, there's a bunch of them that have sort of like somebody holding up a staff with like a helmet on, and I don't know who that is. And the other side has the profile of a guy with a big old mustache. And this one looks like, it says Elizabeth. It goes around great. What does that say? Yes, I think this is a young Queen Elizabeth, probably. Are there any other ones? That one looks like it's somebody else on that side. Yeah, they've had a few different versions of farthings. All right, well, those look very cool. All right, now, what else do we have to say? We're going to move on to our last word, and we're going to go... Oh, my God, my microphone must be so wet right now. Okay, we have farthingale. Farthingale or farthingale. Farthingale. Noun from 1552, and this is a support, as of hoops, worn especially in the 16th century beneath a skirt to expand it at the hip line. I wish I could go back and give you a visual, but basically, I mean, we've all seen like pictures of this and stuff, and maybe some people have even worn these, but they had a dress, and from the hip below, they would install hoops in the dress. A hoop like this, and then another hoop bigger and bigger, and it would make the dress have this very like bell-shaped curve. And so it's a noun, so I guess this is the support underneath the dress. The farthingale is the support to make your dress look like a bell. What's the etymology? Is this related to coins? I don't think so. This is from Middle French, verdugal, from Old Spanish, verdugado, which is from verdugo, or maybe they would say verdugo, which means young shoot of a tree, from verde, which means green, from the Latin viridis, and there's more at the word verdant or verdant. So, so green, trees are green, and then maybe they used the young shoot of a tree, maybe it's a root, maybe it's a branch. They would use this young shoot of a tree possibly to create the hoops, because it was young, it was more malleable, you could bend it, but it's also stiff. So that's probably where this name came from. Farthingale is from verdugal. I guess that's sort of similar. There's some similarities in there. Huh, that was interesting. Anything else about that one? I don't think so. Maybe I should post a picture of a farthingale, so you can see this hoop structure from young shoots of a tree. Okay, well, now it's the time to pick a word of the episode. We had today farrow, far-seeing, farcy, farside, farsighted, farsightedness, fart, farther, farthermost, farthest, farthing, and farthingale. I mean, I think I just need to pick fart as the word of the episode, don't I? Yes, of course I do. I love farting. It's my favorite thing to do. If I got a bubble in my belly, just do a little fart to get it out, and it makes you feel better. Boop, boop, ba-doop, boop. Yay. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about a couple movies that I watched. King on Screen. This is a documentary on the streaming platform Shudder, and it's all about the movie versions of Stephen King's stories, novels, short stories, etc. And I have not read almost any of his work, but I have seen a number of the movies, and there's a lot of movies that I didn't even know existed. So it was very interesting to hear people talk about just those movie adaptations of his work. Then we watched Night Watch. Night Watch, and I am trying to think of which one this is. I think I need to look up a picture of Night Watch. Oh, wait, no, it's coming back to me. This was, so actually there's two versions of this one. We thought we were watching the remake, but we were watching the original one, which is, I don't know, Danish or something like that. And it's a story about a guy who gets a job as a night watchman in a hospital mortuary kind of place, and that's all I want to say. It was a fun watch, and there's a remake which I should probably watch with Ewan McGregor, I think. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for going to the farthest reaches of my brain with this podcast. Until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.